You run the numbers, weigh the options, and sign your name, fully convinced you're agreeing for a logical reason. Then, months later, you find yourself sitting in an empty room, wondering why you ignored every instinct that told you to walk away. You find yourself exhausted and confused by your own history. You look back at the years spent in situations that didn't serve you and realize your internal logic didn't match the outcome. Human behavior rarely follows data or careful analysis. Most of our choices are the product of survival mechanisms that evolved for a world that no longer exists. 4 specific forces shape these choices: fear, greed, hope, and the desire for certainty. Recognizing that we often lack control over these internal drivers is the first step toward stopping the cycle of self-sabotage. Fear often presents itself as caution. It keeps people in soul-crushing jobs for decades, choosing the pain of a known misery over the perceived threat of a new direction. This reaction is rooted in loss aversion. The pain of losing has twice the impact of gaining. Our amygdala processes a career setback like a physical attack, shutting down logic centers to focus on immediate survival. Choosing to play it safe is frequently a result of this prehistoric wiring. Your ancient brain treats a manageable career risk as a life or death threat, making stagnation feel like the only safe option. To compensate for a lack of fulfillment, many people respond to a peer's success by immediately upgrading their own lifestyle, buying goods they don't need to mirror the status of those around them. This involves positional goods, items valued primarily for how they signal our standing compared to others. Data from behavioral economics shows that most people would rather earn $50,000 in a world where their peers earn $40,000 than earn $100,000 in a world where others make double that amount. We prioritize relative status over absolute wealth. Accumulating material things is often a reaction to the fear of falling behind the tribe. It is a status tracking system that prioritizes social comparison over personal utility. When the pressure of a bad situation becomes too high, it is extremely common to seek a sudden exit. This often leads to committing resources to high-risk, unverified ventures because they promise a miracle solution. This is the result of optimism bias. It is the statistical tendency for individuals to believe they are less likely to experience failure or negative events than the general population. Hope is a motivator, but it creates a vulnerability when it replaces a concrete strategy. There is a meaningful difference between hoping for a positive outcome and having a plan to manage a negative one. Relying on a long shot is an emotional blind spot in planning. It allows us to ignore risks because the desire for a quick resolution overrides logical assessment. When a risky plan begins to fail, the need to be right often prevents us from taking a factual lifeline. Accepting a way out would require admitting a total error in judgment. This resistance comes from the need for cognitive closure, a deep psychological drive for a definitive answer to any question. The human mind finds ambiguity threatening. It will accept a bad answer over no answer at all, choosing a destructive path simply because it provides the feeling of certainty. This desire for absolute answers causes people to lock themselves into echo chambers and defend failing beliefs even when the evidence against them is overwhelming. These forces are universal features of human biology. Every person on Earth operates with this same internal code. Moving past these impulses requires metacognition, the ability to monitor and analyze your own thinking. Think back to the moment you picked up the pen to sign that contract. Imagine a physical pause right before the nib touches the paper. In this moment, you use metacognition to isolate the impulse. You ask, is this a genuine threat? Or is it an overreaction from a brain designed for a different era? Awareness does not remove the feelings of fear, greed, or hope. It simply severs their direct control over your actions. Intellectual freedom is found in the small gap of time between feeling an impulse and making a choice. Mastering that gap is how you change the outcome.